Hello everyone, welcome to video number 12. This is Bone Crusher. Today we're gonna repeat a session I just finished like a half hour ago, and we'll go step by step to show how I put the bet, how I win or lost, and what was my consideration on that time. As you know and you saw in the previous videos, I record a minimum 12 rolls, or actually 24, but over here I was stopped on 18, so because I was getting a 7. And from this point, I decide, okay, so it's time to place a bet if the table will be positive. It's gonna qualify for a bet. So a little bit revising here. So we start with 12, 4, followed by 7. So the 4 will become a red number. 6, and 6 also will become a red number, and follow 10, 8, nothing special, but all of a sudden, the 6 is becoming an OD. Okay, so it's very important, to see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 6 will become an OD, 9, and 9 is a new red number. So it was like a 0.7 out. So over here I was decide, okay, so let's see what's happened, because I was said, well, let's get a few more rolls, and I was getting a 6, and right after 6 I decide to lay a 6. The reason is because 6 was a red number, and I was thinking a 7 will show up, but next roll was a 12, and I was keep up the lay bet on the 6, and I was getting a 7, so I was win the lay bet on the 6 for $100, and 6 is 6 is a new enemy number, because I believe here's the here's the win. He's got the enemy number. Here's one line. Here's 2 lines. Okay, so 2 lines, and the 9 becomes, and 6 now it's a new red number. Okay. So I was getting the 7, so the lay bet, it's win 6 again, and here was my consideration. Okay, so 0.7 out, but I was thinking 6 is the point, didn't make it, but I was wrong, because I totally missed. The 6 was a new enemy number, or red number, and I placed the 6. So that was the first mistake I made. I will mark it this way because it's very important. So I was thinking, okay, so 6 is the point it didn't make, and I put the place bet on the 6. So 7 shows up, and I lost $120. Okay, continue 12. The new point, it's 9. The 9 was getting a line, and all of a sudden I said, oh, okay, well, it's an enemy number. Actually, before the line, I was thinking, okay, 9 is a red number. I will lay the 9. Okay, so then 10 shows up. I put the line and follow 8, 10, 12, 8, 3. So I was thinking, okay, I saw the 8 after the 12. I said, well, I still got one more roll to get 7. 3, has been rolled. It's a junk number. I was keep up, the lay bet, and boom, 7 shows up. So I win the lay bet on the 9 for $80. Okay, from this point, I don't see any updates to red numbers. Continue 11, so 8 the new point, and 8 was kind of, you know, a number, just rolled 3 times, and I was thinking, you know, to lay the 4, and I laid the 4, and you know, the 10 shows up, 9 shows up, 6 again, 2, and 4. 4, the consideration, you know, I put 4 is because it was qualified as a long lost. You know, we have 4 here, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. So it was more than 30 rolls, and I said, well, you know, I have to lay that 4 because it's a long lost. But 4 shows up here, so I lost, you know, $200 because, you know, it was 200 for 4 and 8, for 10, you know, we put $200 because, you know, we win 100. So our unit's $120, but the only exception is the 4 and 10. So I was getting a 7 after the 4, and 4 is becoming, you know, confirmed a red number. Going further, you know, the 9 has been rolled, and the 9 was you know, a red number with 1 line. I laid the 9 because of that, and I was getting a 3, and I said, well, probably will be a good choice to keep up the lay bet, and I was getting a 7, so I win the lay bet for $80. 9 has been canceled and become a new number. Also, let me check a little bit. 8, I supposed to put the 8 over here, I'm sorry. 8 was a red number, and it was getting a line here and a second line here, and then 9 was a red number. So let's follow again. So and 9 over here was becoming a red number. Okay, 9. All right. Okay, so I win that bet for $80. Okay, we continue. 7 followed by 7, and then you know, I was thinking, you know, 9 is the point, didn't make it because you know, it was followed by 3 and 7, and I placed in come out roll the 9. I didn't, you know, hedge that bet, and 6 was the new point, and I was thinking, okay, well, I will take my 9 place bet down, and I will place the lay 6 because, you know, the 6 was you know, a red number over here, and you know, the next roll was 8. The next you know, was 4, and 8 is no longer a red number. 4 was rolled, and then 8, so the 4 was getting another line, and we continue, and all of a sudden, you know, here was 848, which is you know, one for me, one for you. I love this you know, this situation. Most of the between 75 and 90%, you know, you will win one of those bets. And you know, I placed 4 and 8 over here, and then I was hitting the 8, and I was winning $140. So of course, you know, I took the bet down over here, and next was 7, so I was saved, the bet. 8 is a new red number because the 7 has been show up, and another 8 over here. So 8 will become the OD, and then 9, and all of a sudden I was decide, because the 9 was a red number, I should probably lay the 8, but the 8 was an OD. Well, I was thinking there is a long lost number or a weak number, and I said, well, okay, so this is the 10 was rolled over here and over here, so this is the less number has been rolled, because I don't see any other bets over here, and I placed the lay bet on the 10. 6 was followed by 9 and then 7, so I was winning the lay bet for $100 actually over here, because this was $140 and this was $100 over here, and then another $100 for the lay 10. 7, and then the new point, I was thinking hey, place the 8, because as was pointed, didn't make it, but 10 was rolled. I took the bet down. In fact, I placed the 6 and 8 because those are sister numbers, and most of the time when it's 8 or 6, the point didn't make it. It's good to place the bet and come on roll for both. You can hit one. So actually here I didn't hit anyone from 8 and 6, and I was getting a 4, so I took my bets down, and I took the bets down and I laid the 10, because 4 was an enemy number or red number one line, and I was thinking, okay, I will get that, so I was laid the 10, and the 7 shows up, and I was winning the 10 for another $100. So now 4 has been erased and moved down here as a confirmed red number. The 8 was getting a line. 9 was getting a line as well, and 6 it is becoming a confirmed enemy number or red number because of this. So going further, so 8 just show up, and when I was thinking, okay, 8 it's an enemy number with one line, I cannot lay the 8 because it's an OD. So I said, well, there is one single 5 over here, so it's considering long lost number, and I said, okay, I'm gonna lay the 5 instead of the 8. I was getting an Yo 11 and 8, so the shooter make his point. And from that moment, I said, well, I will keep my lay bet on the 5 working, because definitely it's a long lost number, and usual it's a good bet, it's a good lay bet. So 6 shows up and as a new point, and followed by 5, and that makes me to lose the lay bet for $120. Now long lost number has returned, okay, and the 6 was getting a line here. So 5 is a long lost number returning, and I was thinking, because I lost this bet, let's put it again, because it's a big chance to roll a 7 after this. So, and I was getting a 10 and 3 and 10 and 3. So then I was take the lay bet down, and I didn't put any bets because it was like a confusion. 6 was the point was made it. After that 10. So I was thinking, you know, to place the return, long lost number return in the 8, which was OD. So I placed the 5 and 8, and I was getting a 9. So I lost the opportunity, you know, to keep up my bets, and I took them down. And the 7 shows up after the 9, and I saved those bets. I was inspired, you know, to save it. 7, 9, you know, it's a new red number. Then 8. So again, I was thinking, okay, 5, it's still long loss returning. I will place the 5 and 8 because it's an OD. So then I got 11. So I took the bets down, and the 7 shows up. So this is the second time I was saved those bets, you know, and I didn't place it. So you know, 7 shows up, and then I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna place the 8 because, you know, the 8 is the point didn't make it, and over here, you know, the 6, you know, was been rolled twice, and I was thinking, okay, so you know, and I was explaining it early. So when 8 is the point that didn't make it, or 6, you have to place the sister number as well, because you might be able to hit that. And then, you know, the 8 has been rolled, and I was winning the 8 for $140. Continue was Yo 11, and I took the 6 down, and I was thinking, okay, now it's time, you know, to lay after the 11, because usually, you know, after the 11 you have to, you know, keep the bets off. I said, well, okay, well, I'm gonna lay a bet, but I can't lay, you know, the 8. And I was going, you know, to look at for a number, and I find 4 as an opportunity because, you know, it was 12, you know, quite way behind, and I laid, you know, the 4 over here, and you know, after that the 8 shows up. So actually, you know, the shooter make his point, and my lay bet over here, I didn't lost that at that time, and I consider, okay, well, let me keep, you know, the lay bet on a 4 working. So 11, Yo 11, 9, it's a new point. I said, oh, okay, well, I will keep my lay bet because, you know, he's becoming, you know, soon long lost, and that's a good reliable bet. I was getting a 6. You know, probably, you know, I might miss, you know, the red numbers, but those are not important, you know, in decision I was taking after that. 6 and 9. And 9, you know, the shooter make his point, 9. Okay, well, I said, well, I will keep up, you know, my lay bet because, you know, it's still a reliable bet. And then I was getting the 4. So the new point, it's 4, and I lost this for $200 here. So I lost this, you know, 4 was a new point. You know, and I was thinking, you know what, it's still a chance, you know, the 4, you know, a good bet, a lay bet, and I'm gonna put it again. So I lost it here, and I put it again, and the 12 shows up, and I was thinking, hey, you know what, I'm sure the 4 is not gonna roll. Why I'm not placing the 10? Also, you know, it was longer than 24 rolls, and I placed the lay bet on a 10 as well. I was getting a 9, I was getting a Yo 11, and you know, there is no 7 over here, so you know, I might probably, you know, miss you know, some. This is a 9, this is a line, this is a 2 lines 9. Okay, so the 4 you know, was getting a line over here, and you know, he was confirmed number. I said, well, it's confirmed, you know, so that's why I was keeping, you know, the lay bet 4 because it was confirmed. And then, you know, the 9 shows up, and you know, kind of put a line on the 4, but the 9, was an red number with 2 lines. I said, well, okay, I already laid the 4, but why if I not lay the 10? Because he already 12, 24, 26, and he was kind of lost a bet, lost number, and I laid the 10, and I was getting the 9, 11, 12, another 12, and then 7, and I was winning those 2 lay bets for $200. And then 4 was the point didn't make it, and I said, well, you know what, this time I'm gonna try to see if the 4 is gonna roll. Typically, the point didn't make it is a reliable bet when it's 6 and 8, 5 and 9, but not as much 6 and 8. 5 and 9, not as much chance to win compared with 6 and 8. But 4 and 10, you have to be very careful, because it's not always it's working, and this is a proof it didn't work. So I placed the 4, and the point was 5, and then 3. I said, well, okay, so it's a place bet. This is a 3. I have to take the bet down, and I was continue with 8, 2, and 10, and I said, well, in this situation, I will place a lay bet on the 5, because the situation over here, and I was winning the bet because 7 shows up, and I was counting how many bets I was winning and how many bets I was losing. So I make actually $500 on this session. It's a little bit difficult, to remember what was exactly, my thoughts behind, the bet, but this is what's happened, and it took me like 45 minutes to, to do this. Pretty much, this is my session for today. As you see, again, the meta has been confirmed, a good one. I advise, the viewers to check the website Dice Coach, because there is a nice article about the method. So you can Google, Dice Coach dash method, and get informed, because this is the method he's talking about, and he's the dealer to sell this method to the public. It's available. I'm not saying affordable, because you can make your research and you will find out it's very expensive. For me, you get it for free. You're not gonna get the entire method, but at least the basic, which is more important than anything else. I also advise the viewer to check the oldest videos, especially number 11, number 10, number 9, number 8, because those are very, very good to understand what the methods my means, and by far it's one of the best one. You can find on internet whatever you like it, they promise you, but this is a low risk. It's not as much winnings, because we're looking for 30%, but it's a guaranteed, as long as you place the bet and you play the method correctly. Okay, I have to close this video for today. Remember, any inquiries you have, don't hesitate to email me, bonecrusher@bonecrusher.co. Check the dicecoach.com for more information about the method. As I said, I'm not advertising that, so I'm not advising you to buy the method, since you can get that for free from me. And we will see what's happened in the next videos. I will looking to get more and more to convince you guys the method it's worth it. And remember, one more thing: we always right, occasionally wrong, but never in doubt. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on watching and we keep in touch.